Wabarakatuh. Hi everybody. We are from Group 6 of Social Linguistics. So today we are gonna explain our material about language and sex. So I'm Agriansa as a moderator. The first material will be explained by Ulia Anggraini, and the second material will be explained by Krisdiana, and the third is explained by Hikam, and the fourth will be explained by Ucil, and the last one will be explained by Alpin Mujjadid. So let me explain you a little bit about language and sex. Language and sex is a major and bustling issue in social linguistics has been the close affinity between language and sex. More specifically, question gonna to discuss is why does woman's speech different from men's speech? In other words, we will be concerned with some of the factor that induce women to use standard language more often than men do. So maybe the material will be continue by Anggraini. Anggraini.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Anggraini and I will explain about language and sex. Introduction. As a branch of macro-linguistics, sociolinguistics has come into being since the 1960s in America. Since then, it has involved many significant research topics, among which is language and gender. As World Health 2000 states, a major topic in sociolinguistics in the connection, if any, between the structure, vocabularies, and ways of using particular language and the social roles of the men and women who speak this language. The topic has evoked heated discussion, and a large amount of scholars at home and abroad have contributed a lot to its study, such as Lakoff, Trotgill, Zimmerman, Western, Hanley, and Bulgard Abbott, and Chemin, Du Wenli, Yang Yonglin, Zhao Ronghu, and so on. Generally speaking, most of the study of language and gender focus on the following three aspects: gender difference in language, sexism in language, cause for gender difference, and sexism in language. Few of them are conducted in specific contexts. Among three contexts, Desperate Housewives, created by Mars Carey, enjoyed the highest popularity. The show contains a large number of authentic and daily conversation between males and females, which can serve as a typical and representative data source of language and gender study. Besides, former studies are carried out from the perspective or pragmatics and stylistic, but few from the perspective of sociolinguistics. The proposed research, therefore, will compensate for such influence in the hope of obtaining some useful insight into and adding fresh blood to language and gender study. Thank you. And next, we'll explain by Krisdiana.
I'm Christiana, Research Design. A. Research question. With research background in the thesis statement in mind, we can now put forward the following the question. Research question 1. What are the difference between men and women in the amount of thought? Research question 2. Whether they are different in the amount of Third, in distribution of them. B. Data source and data collection. The data employed in this purpose research is exclusive from the well-known American TV series, The Pret Whole Self. The author randomly choose one episode of each season as the subject of study, not only because it is popular with viewers all over the world, but also because it contains many daily conversation among men and women. This makes it suitable for the study for language and gender. C. Research methodology. In terms of research methodology, it refers to a combination of research methods. The method used in the proposed research can be classified as a case study with a combination of quantitative and qualitative analysis. The quantitative approach is the use table and figures to show the difference in the amount of thought and turn. The qualitative approach is to give a systematic description of the data.
However, it was not until the early 20th century the language and gender attracts anthropologists and linguists' attention. There is a trend to study language and gender. It has not become an independent linguistic topic until the 1960s, when feminist movement afraid and sociolinguistic advanced in the 1770s. Such well-known linguists as Lakoff, Tragel, Zimmerman, Weiss, Thorne, and Henley made a great contribution to the study by exploring the social root of gender difference in a language. Gradually, research and studies began to flourish in the early 1980s. Bolliger, other linguists, talk of a gender difference in a language as a kind of sexism. In the recent years, conversation analysis serves as a new and important approach in the study of language and gender. It regarded as an influential brain in the modern gender language field, for it has broadened its scope into a variety of formal and informal settings, and connected gender with conversation features such as amount of talk and turn. Generally speaking, the studies abroad implies on three aspects: gender differences in language, sexism in language, cause for gender differences and sexism in language. Based on the study abroad, to purpose research adopt the conversation approach and try to make deep analysis of language and gender in the spirit housewife, in the hope of adding fresh blood to relevant studies.
Number 4. Analysis of language and gender in disparate housewives. The following is a thorough and detailed analysis of language and gender in disparate housewives. We mainly focus on the amount of talks and turns and the distribution of them. A. Analysis of the amount of the talk. In the general, amount of talk means how much a speaker speaks in conversation. Its study concerning gender is to study which gender is more talkative. As is widely acknowledged, women are more talkative. A large amount of former studies have proven this belief. However, recent studies challenge it. Mary Ann Talbot, 1998, in her book Language and Gender, an introduction, made the conclusion that men are more talkative under some occasion, many other scholars further deepened the study and arrived at the same conclusion. Then, how about the result in the spirit housewives? Can the result of previous studies apply to the TV series? The author will investigate it in the following paragraph. The author will employ the common method which compares the total amount of words and sentences and the average amount of them of both genders. The conversation below is extracted from the first episode of the 8th season. It happens between the perfect housewife Bree and Bree's referent Sykes. After Bree's boyfriend, Kate, left him, she invited Reverend Sykes to her house to have a talk, which she thought may help her feel relieved. The conversation above is extracted from the first episode of the first season. It happens between Susan and Mike after Mary Eli's funeral. The neighbors come to her house to pay their respect. There, Susan and Mike meet each other and begin their first conversation. In the short conversation, there are 12 sentences made up of 109 words. Among all those 12 sentences, the men of the woman take up 6 respectively. However, the men use 61 words were racist. Various such examples in the spirit, however, can be easily found. They all show the difference in the amount of talk in the conversation between males and B. Analysis of turn taking. Turn taking is the fundamental rule to guarantee the smooth transition of a conversation. According to Levinson, it means one participant A to another participant B. Another participant B begins to talk and then stops. Its study concerning gender is to study which gender initiates or offers the turn, and which gender takes the turn for a longer time. In the proposed research, we focus on the latter. It is agreed that men are inclined to take the turn for a longer time in conversation between males and females.
This proposed research has been finished with several limitations. First and foremost, the proposed research is conducted in an English context. Its data is only collected from one. Last but not least, the proposed research on last but not least, the proposed research only focus on the most difficult aspects. This phrase housewife in the analysis of the amount of talk, it only studies the amount of words and sentence. However, there are other aspects worthy of study, such as an amount of adjective first. Likely in the analysis of truth taking, the study mainly concentrates on the amount in distribution of truths. While other aspects like interruption and overlap are ignored. In addition, language and gender study from the perspective of the conversational strategies, including silence, minimal response, and styles, including politeness and directness. It's missing, however, it may involve a large amount of study. Everybody, that's all from our group. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.